tell us about yourself and your position at the greenhouse.
My name is Sheena Swirlz, and I'm the Services and Programming Coordinator here at the greenhouse. I organize our educational events, special social events, as well as sales of certain products that we produce here.
Could you tell us about the history of the greenhouse?
So the greenhouse was built in the 1960s when the hall building was originally constructed. It was built for the biology department to use for different types of experiments, such as experimenting with flower tissue or cells, growth, and they also had a horticulturalist at that time that was producing tropical plants for sale to the student and faculty as well. So it continued in that manner for a while, and then in the mid-millennium, so around 2005-06, the greenhouse was projected to be closed down because they wanted to build a state-of-the-art greenhouse on the Loyola campus. But hopefully, it was saved by Sustainable Concordia and a few passionate students who came and campaigned the university to keep the greenhouse open. So it received a renovation at that time and became an open community space with this Atrium Lounge that we're now in open. And then in 2013, we decided to become a student fee levy group, which means that we're funded by the students to operate. And we became a nonprofit organization that was separate from Sustainable Concordia. So we've been operating as such since 2013.
Great. Could you tell us about the mission of the greenhouse?
Yes, we're an all-organic space that is focused towards community, sustainability, and education. So we provide opportunities to be involved through our volunteer sessions, through internships, and through job opportunities. And then we also have educational workshops that happen very regularly. So our main mission is to help empower people in anything related to urban agriculture, especially related to Montreal.
Could you tell us a little bit about the events and workshops that you guys host?
Our main workshop series here at the greenhouse is Hot Topics in Urban Agriculture, and it's an educational workshop series that focuses on accessible growing projects that are especially oriented towards people living in small spaces such as apartments. So we'll cover everything from composting on your balcony or within your home, growing mushrooms inside, sprouting, vegetable production, and lots of different types of projects that people are able to do very affordably at home. We also have documentary film screenings on occasion. We have social and musical events, and then we have an artistic event that happens twice a month where people are invited to come and make art out of more natural and non-toxic materials. So these go on throughout the year. As well, City Farm School does workshops, which happen both at the Loyola campus and here in the greenhouse, and those are often organized by the City Farm School students themselves. And it's anything from herb production to medicinal use of herbs and tree propagation, lots of different topics.
Great. Could you actually tell us about the two workshops that took place over the last couple of days?
This week we had a workshop on aquaponics as well as mushroom growing. Both of these workshops had slight interactive components, but they were mainly information sessions. Many of our workshops, you'll have a kit to take home. We've had mushroom workshops in the past where people were able to buy their own mushroom growing kit and take it home to get started right away. Our aquaponics and mushroom workshops events this week were more of a very scientific kind of background, explaining the lives of a mushroom colony, or how to build an aquaponics unit and what the fish like to have in that environment. So both of these workshops were offered for free. They were open to anyone to attend. And they were done by different groups of people who are very experienced. The people who hosted the aquaponics workshop are the people that actually organize our aquaponics system here in the greenhouse and make sure that it's operational. It's been up for about 3 years now. And then the mushroom cultivation workshop was done by a few enthusiastic former students who grow mushrooms very regularly, both within their homes and out in their yards. So they were from varying levels of professionalism, but what's great about our workshops is that we have a variety of levels of information available about certain topics. Everything from a brief introduction to how to get started with mushrooms, to going into depth about the life cycle of the mushrooms, reproduction, and the very best practices for propagation.
Great. Could you explain the partnerships that the greenhouse has with other partners around Concordia or even external to Concordia?
We work with a few different community organizations. Many of the organizations we work with are community garden organizations, and those we provide seedlings each spring for them to use in their gardens. Not many organizations have access to a greenhouse, so we partner with them in order to provide them with a space where they can produce all their seedlings at a very much affordable price than you'll find in a conventional greenhouse. As well, we're using ecological practices. Other partners include, we work with the Concordia Food Coalition related to sustainable food issues on campus. And the Rooftop Garden Collective has been kind of engaged in different projects that we've been doing and kind of working with us on getting involved in our volunteer sessions to be empowered for their own project.
Great. What is the structure of the greenhouse?
We are collectively run and consensus-based. So we have a small collective of 4 people, as well as internships and other employees that work just very minimal hours. But our collective is responsible for the visioning and operation of the greenhouse. We also, as a nonprofit, have a board of directors who works with us for certain types of tasks such as outreach, fundraising, and as well ensuring fiscal responsibility within the organization.
So how does membership consist of? Could students get involved? How does that all take place?
Membership at the greenhouse is open to all collective members, the board of directors members, as well as undergraduate students, which is the body that funds us, and finally the volunteers that come here to help us with our operations.
Wait, speaking of funding, how does the greenhouse manage its funding opportunities?
We are a fee levy group here at Concordia University, which means that the students fund us per credit throughout the year in order for us to exist. So that is our baseline budget. We also receive grants from various environmental organizations, both within Quebec and Canada, to fund either new or ongoing projects that we do here, usually related to growing and education. Finally, we sell some of our products that we produce here at the greenhouse. We sell some vegetables. Our focus is microgreens. Also, we have seedling and plant sales 3 times a year, where you can buy either house plants or vegetable and herb seedlings. And we also have started to sell DIY kits and other resources to help empower those who come to this space. So things like sprouting kits, workshops, or zines on herbs, and other types of kits to get started with different projects.
Okay, so could you tell us where to find some of the products from the greenhouse?
We have a pop-up market here at the greenhouse that's kind of spontaneously arrived, so people that come here regularly will be able to pick up items at that. The Concordia Farmers Market is happening regularly in the green space. In January, I believe it's going to be continuing, and we always have our products available there, things like vegetables, microgreens, teas as well. And then finally, you can always pick up our products at Frigo Vert, which is a health food store located on Mackay. And there you can buy a lot of our leafy greens, our tomatoes, and our herbs on a regular basis.
Great. Could you describe the workforce here at the greenhouse, like a division of labor? Do you have volunteers? Do you have employees? Maybe you could describe that.
We have 6 employees here at the greenhouse, 4 are collective members who meet regularly and organize the operations of the organization. We also have 2 regular volunteer drop-in sessions, which vary anywhere between 2 and 12 members. Those volunteers during our volunteer sessions will help out with either our houseplant propagation project or our vegetable production project. So tasks will include things like taking care of plants, insect control. It's a combination of work that helps us to complete our goals, but also it educates the volunteers on the different nuances of growing. So many volunteers come to that. We also have internships for both our City Farm School program, our houseplant program, and our Four Seasons growing program. So they're required to complete 120 hours per semester, which works out to be on an average of 10 hours weekly. So they're more dedicated volunteers that will assist in the kind of ongoing production of vegetables as well. We also have a media intern for the first time this year, which has really empowered us to increase our outreach to help as many people get up into the greenhouse and know about the amazing resources we have here as possible.
Great. Looking at that, could you maybe describe what strengths that the greenhouse brings to the university?
The greenhouse provides a very unique opportunity at this university. As far as I know, there's no other greenhouses on campuses in Canada which are open in this type of way to the public. They're almost always used for experimentation from the geography or biology departments, or it's used for production by the different agricultural programs. So very rarely is it a space that is able to be open to the public or the student body because of the sanitation methods necessary. So in our space, we have the Atrium Lounge here open to anyone to come and use on weekdays. And so that is an opportunity not only for people to learn about how plants are growing and to see plants that they wouldn't usually be seeing, such as a lot of the many tropical plants that we have in here, tropical fruit trees. But the experience of studying or spending time here, it really helps to improve student life. Being around plants throughout the winter when there's not much greenery around distinctly has an effect on people's kind of contentedness level. Also, we have a really great air quality up here in the greenhouse. Students are able to get their vitamin D from our glass ceiling. So there's that part of the lifestyle quality that we can offer to the university, as well as the many educational experiences that people can have here, either between volunteering, coming to our workshops, using our website to find resources for working on some of the hot topic projects I was mentioning earlier. And the internships at CFS really allow people to learn the growing process from starting the seedlings with us here in the greenhouse in the late winter to the harvest that happens in October at the Loyola campus. So the ways to be involved, to learn, and to profit from this amazing greenhouse are quite expansive.
So what kind of things could be improved at the greenhouse?
I think the biggest improvement we need here at the greenhouse is infrastructure. This greenhouse was built in the 1960s and has only received minor renovations since that time. Things like adding improved lighting, ventilation, temperature controls are all going to be very key in having more productive months of food production here in the greenhouse, as well as just maintaining a more humid environment, which is the best conducive environment for these types of plants. So that's a very big project because it's a very old greenhouse. It's an expensive project to renovate a greenhouse. And there's also the analysis of the project. So that's something that we're focusing on this winter, is trying to look at how we can make this structure as efficient as possible, both for the students occupying it for studying purposes and also for the food production.
So I'm also curious as to why you're involved at the greenhouse. Maybe you could elaborate as to why you want to be involved and I guess within your role here at the greenhouse.
So the greenhouse is one of my top 3 community organizations. I moved to Montreal about 5 years ago and started to get very involved in the community here, especially related to food issues. And as I was exploring the different organizations around the city, it seemed to me that the greenhouse is one of the best organizations for what it has to offer. The workshops here are very accessible, they're diverse, they're frequent. And then the space here is quite pleasant to be in as well, so that was an instant appeal to me. And I really wanted to help the organization as well. Having viewed it from afar a little bit, I thought of a lot of different ways that it could be improved, especially in terms of outreach. and ensuring that you can get as many people here as possible to really know about it, because when I was coming here it was a little bit of like a secret oasis, and now it's becoming way more widely known, and I think that that's fantastic. So I like to think that one of my largest contributions here has been to connecting people with the resources that we have to offer. As well as I'm very interested in educational workshops. I attend many on a regular basis myself. So to be able to connect teachers with the students and community members that are so thirsty for knowledge is really a pleasure to create here, because the greenhouse, in fact, can act as a sustainable hub for Montreal, where we can have all sorts of different groups in here sharing their information, sharing places to get involved in the city, and just basically empowering the people who come here.
So stemming off that, how could a typical Concordia student get involved at the greenhouse?
Well, the first way to get involved is to come and enjoy the Atrium Lounge. It's perfect for studying, for having a meal. We have a small kitchen that's available for people to use, to socialize with friends, to study with others. The second way to get involved would be to attend any of our events which happen. They're almost exclusively from 5 to 7, a 5 à 7 event on weekdays. Whether it be social or educational workshops, because that is a way to really kind of take something extra from the greenhouse. Finally, getting involved in our volunteer sessions here in the greenhouse or at City Farm School in the summer is a really great way to get one's hands dirty and to learn some details about pest control or about watering needs or about any of the little skills that we offer through our volunteer opportunities.
So I wanted to ask you what a typical day at the greenhouse would look like. Maybe you could run us through what you guys do usually on a daily basis.
Okay, sure, yeah. Well, we open at 11 a.m. on weekdays, and we start off by setting up the space for student use to make sure everything is in nice order. We have teas, which we grow here in our different garden beds, which we use our solar dehydrator to dry. It takes about 4 days using only the power of the sun, no electricity. We then make that tea available in our tea kitchen for students and community members to drink. It's available just by donation, and all of the teas that we grow have a lot of medicinal properties. We always try to have relaxing teas as students get very stressed out, so it's very nice to come here and have a cup of chamomile or catnip or other types of relaxing teas of this nature. From 11 till 5, this space is usually filled with students who are studying or talking. Every once in a while, someone will come here with a musical instrument and just start kind of jamming, which is always a nice treat. Down the hallway, we'll have our growing coordinators working on houseplant propagation, vegetable production, plant care in general. They'll be organizing with their volunteers and interns to get the task completed. We also rent chambers in the greenhouse to external community groups. One of the groups that we have currently in the greenhouse is Innovations Jeunes, and they are a youth group that works from everything from seed starting, cultivation, and then harvesting. They even do some recipes that they will create all together. So they'll be down in the hallway working away on their project. Meanwhile, in the office, we'll be doing a lot of organizational tasks, promotion, planning for future projects. From 5 to 7 p.m. is when we have our special events. So at that time, we'll have either collective members presenting topics that we're skilled and responsible for within the greenhouse, such as our houseplant propagation coordinator will do a workshop on how to propagate houseplants. And or we'll bring outside people from either community organizations or passionate individuals, and they will lead workshops on different topics. Also, outside groups often rent this Atrium Lounge for private use, so they'll have private workshops that have a limited amount of participants, group meetings, annual general meetings. Lots of different groups can use this space for all an assortment of activities. So 5 to 7, we'll usually have this filled with an activity of some nature. 7 o'clock we close and put all the plants to sleep.
Could you tell us about some of the plants that you have here?
Yes. In the Atrium Lounge, which we're currently in, there is a series of boxes around the room. Each box has a different theme. for what's growing in it. So for example, the box right behind me is succulents. So they all act as a little bit of a demonstration garden. So this will show how different succulents, which is to say cacti, will grow and be cared for. Many of the boxes contain tea herbs, things like catnip, lemon verbena, anise hyssop is one that we also very commonly cultivate. Many of the boxes also contain tropical plants. We have things like papaya, pomegranate, figs, banana, olives growing. And I think that acts as a really interesting way for people to see how these tropical plants grow, and as well what it would taste like to taste a tropical plant that's ecologically grown in Montreal in the winter, which is a really kind of special experience. We have an aquaponics unit, which has many plants growing out of that, tomatoes, banana as well. In the houseplant propagation room, these are non-edible plants. They're mainly plants that are either tropical and extra beautiful, or they're plants that do well in Montreal winters. So they're plants that don't need excessive amounts of heat and light to survive. So those are really great for people that are just getting started with plant growing. Finally, down the hallway in our productive compartments, we have heirloom tomatoes growing. We have a variety of herbs such as basil, coriander, dill, and a lot of greens we've started doing more this year. So things like lettuces, Swiss chard, kale, so all types of very nutrient-rich greens like that. And then finally, for microgreens, our favorites are things like sunflower, buckwheat, peas, kale, and mustard. So those are really popular sprouts that we almost always have available down at Frigo Vert.
So what kind of future directions do you see at the greenhouse?
Well, I can see the greenhouse continuing to grow in terms of educational programs, internship and volunteering opportunities, as well as demonstration sites, I guess you could say, in the greenhouse. So currently we have an aquaponics demonstration system. We have a bench made of cob, which is a natural plaster made from sand, straw, and clay. We have the many demonstration boxes of different types of plants and how they would grow. One of our new projects is going to be building a demonstration balcony garden here in the atrium. So it's going to be a mock balcony that has many of the common and accessible projects that people can do on their own balcony. So that will be a volunteer session and project going on throughout the winter to help students empower themselves for the spring to start their own balcony garden. So I think that we're going to continue to show examples of how different projects that are available to everyone can happen. We'll also be continuing our food production, especially trying to get it on campus organizations and available to buy on campus as much as possible. So that way that students can get our affordable and very nutritious produce. And also, I think we'll probably be continuing to grow our City Farm School program, as it's been very successful. And many people are interested in a 8-month-long internship where they can see the whole start to stop finish of growing. So I think that we'll continue to offer these type of programs here at the greenhouse.
How does the greenhouse contribute to Concordia's initiative towards sustainability?
Well, our mandate is related to increasing sustainability on campus. So we're providing organically grown food on campus. So we're not using any pesticides or fertilizers in the production. So providing this type of more sustainable food is one aspect. Trying to increase awareness about projects and programs in Montreal that are available for people to be involved in, something we're always trying to promote. Our workshops are almost exclusively related to sustainability and more ecological ways of living. Also, I think providing a green space that's literally green with plants is always contributing to the sustainable aspect of an environment that's increasingly more concrete and also covered in advertisements. So the greenhouse provides kind of a fresh breath of relief in an otherwise kind of gray institutional university setting. So it's a great way for people to enjoy the environment year-round, learn about sustainability, and actually become interactive with it as much as possible.
I was also wondering too, how would you see an ideal food system at Concordia University?
Well, there is a lot of space on campus to be growing more food. The library building was actually constructed to support a green roof. So the entire rooftop of that building is an available space to have additional greenhouses and therefore additional food production. This greenhouse can't produce that much more food while maintaining our educational part of our mission because it's a limited space. City Farm School could distinctly increase their farm on the Loyola campus as well. So by increasing places where food is produced on campus, you can make that available more to the students, whether it's available to buy the raw products and cook oneself, or whether it's going to be available in the cafes within the meals themselves. I think that the sourcing of the food is very important. Buying as little food from China and outside of Canada is, I think, very important to having a more sustainable food movement on campus. But definitely we're interested in being involved in the conversation and the process of increasing the food options on campus.
How would someone get in touch with you? Do you have a website or any resources that someone could actually find you?
Yeah, people can connect to us online on our website, concordiagreenhouse.com. It has really a lot of information about all of the projects that we do, upcoming events, history of the greenhouse, and the contacts for the different projects because we have a coordinator for each different aspect of what we're doing here at the greenhouse. We also have a fairly active Facebook where people can see our latest events, get tutorials for different projects. We regularly post little like tips and tricks on there. We have a newsletter that goes out every Tuesday. That's a fantastic green resource for Montreal, in fact, because not only do we post our projects and upcoming events here at the greenhouse, but we also advertise what's going on in campus related to sustainability and food issues, and then the greater Montreal area. So any nonprofit organizations in town that are doing things. And we also include volunteering and job opportunities in here. So it's a really great one-stop shop for finding lots of ways to connect and learn more. We also have Twitter, so you can check us out on there. And we have information boards here in the hall building where people can learn about us a little bit more there too.